The world is a vast and mysterious place, full of secrets improperly said to be waiting to be uncovered. To paraphrase a wise guru that I happen to follow, look at the leaf above your head and realize you do not understand how it works. In fact, you do not fully understand how anything works. Our knowledge primarily consists of approximations of things. There are a million channels here on YouTube which concern themselves with explaining things. There are a further million channels which convey information from a myriad of sources. My goal with this new series is to create the perfect storm, the chaos necessary for a varied count of ideas to emerge, and then, through enlisting the help of the community, to reach conclusions about those matters together. It is this paradoxical, chaotically ordered approach which I hope will make an impact and allow people to express themselves in a manner they did not think of before. But, before delving deeper into that, let me quickly offer you a little background of where this all comes from. Our primary mechanism for understanding the reality around us in a pragmatic and immediately tangible way is the scientific method. Whilst the scientific method certainly has its merits, it is limited in the sense that by definition it cannot afford to overshoot. It must build a solid foundation before proceeding to structure up. It therefore is by definition a slow process, which generally relies on major breakthroughs happening occasionally, on which the scientific method is applied and on top of which further understanding is therefore created. This mechanism, however, is limited in its ability to create said breakthroughs. Whilst it is wholly vested to exploit them, it can hardly produce them due to its generally horizontal progress, the vertical progress creeping at a rather slow pace. This is why humans invented various other systems of thought and belief. Let me use a very simplified and rather silly analogy. In a sense, you can imagine a human as being a creature sitting in an infinitely huge dark cave, which represents existence, with a tiny candle lit up to light its way around. For the most part, the cave is featureless and plain, and the candle only shoots its light so far away before fading back into darkness. Those studies, such as philosophy, fringe science, sometimes modern vestiges of spirituality, more on that later, can then be imagined as being a stick we throw in the ever-pervasive darkness of creation in order to discover things. To further this analogy, science is the rope we attach to the string to haul ourselves up with once we find something meaningful. We use the light to examine our findings and then explore the feature up, down, left, right, within and without before throwing the stick again. I like to call those sticks that we throw the seeds of spirituality. Spirituality can be understood as many things and indeed misunderstood as many more. But in the context of my content, I would like it to be understood as primarily that which concerns itself with matters of the fundamental basis of existence. That is an abbreviated definition for an otherwise quite expansive term, but it should suffice to convey the depth of its meaning. Those stick throwers concerned with matters of spirituality are seekers, people who aim to better understand the world we live in at the fringes of our collective and sometimes individual understanding. A seeker is not built or made. A person can be inclined to seek answers unconsciously, while at the conscious level making the choice to sit idly in regards to this urge. In a sense, we're all seekers to some degree or another by nature. What makes a seeker what they are is the conscious decision to seek, and that is a choice which is available to all of us at any point in time. I've been a seeker for most of my life, to some degree of consciousness or another. During my childhood, my wants were primarily centered around the various desirable goodies of children, like magic and spitting fireballs. As I traverse the planes of time, I've gained a little understanding of what those things really mean, and through countless iterations, my view has been sharpened to the point where today I can very confidently say that I know essentially nothing. Ever since this great realization dawned upon me, I've been doing my best to further approach this ideal. One of my favorite mindsets in relation to this topic is the idea that knowledge is power. Merely the act of being aware of certain things fundamentally alters your personal reality. Knowledge is also a double-edged sword. There can certainly be good and bad knowledge, but this labeling is almost entirely dependent on the thought system you approach the information from. Fundamentally, information is nothing more than that. Information. It is our wisdom which determines what we do with it. Hence, I prefer exposing myself to extremely varied fields of information, making sense of it all as I go along. In this series, I would like to discuss philosophical and slightly mystical lifestyle matters. I will use my various research as well as personal experiences as a foundational basis on which these discussions will be held. The topics I will be covering are very diverse, ranging from simple lifestyle/self-development outlooks to more universal questions related to existence. Whilst sourcing my various pieces of information is possible, that would be a rather long-winded process. It can, however, be reduced rather simplistically to the concept of intuition, which is what I use primarily to wade through the swathes of abstract and perhaps oftentimes biased thoughts I come across. There is only vague scientific backing for many of the things I wish to discuss. However, scientific approval is not the object of interest in this playlist. The primary goal is to start a discussion and form a community of people interested in learning from each other. Now, the arcane or rather esoteric nature of the approach to these subjects naturally forms an unstable foundation to work with, but this very chaotic freedom is what we are aiming to work with. The idea is to form a maelstrom and seek to pick the seeds of knowledge floating on its cusps, synthesize them, and expound on them in future videos. I'll be using my theories as a base of reference, and together with you, the community, we will be determining the subjects most worthwhile to approach further. I'll be posting both my own personal content, i.e. my videos, which will function as a triggering mechanism for debate, or at the very least as an explanation for the foundational premises of my theory, as well as the videos derived from the hopefully ongoing discussions on this channel. This will all be coalesced in one or more playlists, which will be linked in the description of this video for future reference as they are created. For now, I thank you for taking the time to watch my little intro video and wish you a blessed day going forward. Platypi is quite a flexible name. I think in this case I'll go with Platy the Philosopher. Until next time, be well.